Yep, I can hear you. Turn the recording on.
Okay, great. And you can see my screen?
Yep. It's
Okay,
a sound is a little low.
the sound is a little low. Okay, so I'll talk a little louder. So the the class is the class that Matt's been sharing, the EDX class, and they're having us build this, follow this tutorial for at least one lesson anyway. It's going pretty fast, but this was building a visual robot model with URDF from scratch. And then the next step was to build a movable robot model with URDF. And so I was just going to share that. And this is probably old hat for a lot of you guys, but good practice. So if I just start, I use this command here. So actually, let me back up a second. They're having us use Singularity, which Matt, I think you said was a lot like Docker. It appears to be anyway. We're inside of this container, and we're using ROS Launch, and there's this tutorial, and there's different models that you can see. So this one was the 06 flexible model, and let's see. So I'm in the wrong folder, aren't I? I need to do the
Source,
source first.
source. Yep.
And I think I need to go to the other folder right here. No, this one. Uh-oh, now I'm stuck, Matt.
Yep. Um, so this so it could be installed in that container, or did you install it in your HRW ROS workspace?
I think it's installed in this uh, in this one here. I think this is the right path. Let me try this. Okay, I remember it now. What I did this before tonight. So let me back up. I think I need to back up 2 levels or something. Might be one more level I forgot. Let's see. Yeah, let me try doing that. No. Well, this isn't going to be fun. I'm actually just going to close this.
Do you have to source your workspace at each window you open to make it work?
I do, yeah. Let's I actually think I do think I need to move that other folder.
Do you know where you installed the tutorial, or is the tutorial installed in the container?
let's see here. Here we go. Right here. There we go. Okay. So this was the kind of out of the box model that they had put together, and using the controller, it allows you to move the different parts, like you rotate the head back and forth. It has that gripper in the front here that moves, and it has an extension as well, so it can move in and out. The wheels, I don't think, Matt, I don't, unless later on maybe they start moving it around the screen, but the 2D nav goal wasn't working when I tried it. I don't know.
No,
Yeah,
this,
okay.
this is just visualizing the URDF.
So that was the visualization, and then in the terminal, one thing that we talked through was how to look at the topics, so you can see which topics are being used using the ROS topic list command. And for example, the joint states is one of the ROS topics. And so I've got that one keyed up here, so you can echo the topic. And you can see it's just running through one right after the other, one message after another. And if I move the head, for example, if I move this, well, let me center it back. This is 0, 0, 0. So here's the positions of all the joints that are zeroed. And then if I move the head, I can see that right here, what the position of that is at all times. So that was all I was going to share, Matt, and if you want to talk about any of it. But one of the things that, and I couldn't find it tonight. I don't know if it'd be easy to find or not, Matt, but the location of the file, this URDF file, where is that stored? Um, I was going to use Blender, and I just have a very simple box just to. I think if I go to export, this first one is a DAE file. I think I can use that somehow in this, right? I haven't figured that out yet, but that's what I'm wanting to work on.
So if you want to find this model, one way you started this with a launch file. And so if you view the source of the launch file, it will tell you the location of this model.
So this file right here, the setup bash.
No, the launch, use
Oh,
the ROS launch.
the launch file. Okay, this one.
Yeah, and then
And if I remember right, let's see, we were in. Okay, so there you go.
and so the model is being passed in as a variable.
this was a fun thing I found when you want to
Yeah.
edit the file. It's not, you can't do it from inside Singularity.
It runs, Pico and Nano are installed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we know it's in the URDF tutorial, in the find URDF tutorial, and then it's in the URDF directory. So we would just do, instead of find, we would do ROS CD URDF tutorial / URDF.
All right, let me get a new window. Okay, so those ROS CD.
Yep.
Okay, and then you are the tutorial.
_ tutorial. Yep. And then URDF.
Right here.
No, not in the RViz. So it's just URDF _ tutorial URDF, and that's what it says on that third line or whatever, fourth line of the launch file.
So just like that.
Kind
Or
of
flat.
have to put a slash in it. It's a directory. Yep.
Okay, gotcha. So this right here.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Oh, I didn't source it. And it was, I'm going to open the more complicated Visual 6 file. This is the one that we're using right now. So you know, Matt, if using Blender, I get that DAE file, will that work to create a URDF? I think maybe that there was a chat going on today about that in the ROS channels. Is that where I would follow those guides?
yeah, so it creates a mesh.
That's right. That's a different approach than using the URDF file.
No, the textures and you can link to the DA file inside of the URDF. That puts the the picture, the nice image, the mesh.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah, this mesh would be referenced. I could export it as a DAE file, and then I could reference it from the URDF file. I'll have to
Exactly.
go through a couple more tutorials on that, but that's the next step, is to figure out how to it's pretty slick how this works. These are very, very readable and very usable.
And
I'm assuming everybody on the call here already knows how to do this, so I'm not going to go into this too much, but there are, each like here, the colors are defined. Somewhere in here, the joints are defined. I don't see where the joints are, but here's the type of joint. So there's different types of joints. This one allows for continuous rotation. Here's a fixed joint that allows no rotation, no movement. So I thought this was pretty good. A revolute. And the revolute, then this is the, which axis does it revolve around? So in this case, it revolves around the z-axis, if I understood that correctly.
yep.
One thing I didn't see yet, Matt, is if I have let's find a good example here. Let's say the gripper right now appears like it's rotating on the z-axis. If I had an arm that could go up into the air, that I'm no longer on the z-axis, so is this reference must be relative to its parent, not relative to the world space. It must be relative to the parent, or is there a way to define that differently?
That's a good question. I haven't built too many of the models.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll watch for that and see how that works.
There's a nice extension inside of VS Code. If you use that, that will let you preview your URDF when you're building it. It's kind of a nice feature.
Oh, really? Very cool. So you just save this file as you're working on it, and this will update in more or less real time,
Yep, exactly.
and that's in VS Code.
Yes.
Okay, and that's open source?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, that's all I had to share for today.
Are you enjoying the class?
I am, yeah, it's really helping a lot. I'll be able to follow what you guys are talking about just a little bit better now.
Great. And I also posted a little tutorial on how to use the extension.
All right, well, very good. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we're going to continue in the class on adding meshes and textures to the URDF.
Yeah, it goes pretty fast, it looks like.
Yeah. You can take a look at the lawn tractor and see how that mesh file is added, that DAU file from Blender.
Okay.
Do we have any other topics? Al, how's it going out there?
Well, at the moment, I am trying to deal with the physical aspects and get my steering back under control. I shared a bolt of that size, and so I now need to get it replaced or weld, or weld that joint. So it'd be mild steel onto this chrome looking, although I don't think it's chrome looking U-joint. That's my next task. I had to downgrade the firmware on my GPS because they found a bug in the firmware and the USB port was not holding its configuration. So the only way to fix that was to downgrade the firmware. So that was a bit, you press that button, update firmware, and you hope that it makes it through. You don't break the device. Well, it didn't break the device, so that's good. So making progress, slow, sort of dealing with things at a physical layer, but hoping to be back out in the yard testing soon.
Excellent. I was out playing around with the new joystick. You want to see a demo?
I do.
Absolutely.
I do. So I bought a Bluetooth joystick off of Amazon, and I spent a number of days trying to get it to pair, and I could never get it to work. And then I just bought a new one that had a little Bluetooth dongle, and basically I just plugged in the little USB dongle into the Raspberry Pi, and I had a joystick. So it wasn't any configuration. The joystick was a little bit different than my USB Logitech, so you have to change the YAML file around a little bit, but works great. And here, almost a video. Well,
Oh, that's pretty nice.
makes it very easy. I don't need any other outside computer to get it to run. And that was just testing the e-stop button there. And then I have remote start. So if you want to load it onto your trailer or take it out of the shop, just grab the joystick, start the lawn tractor up, and then go for a drive.
That's good.
So that makes it a little bit easier than what I had before.
And that's Bluetooth connecting to you have a computer on board?
I have a Raspberry Pi on board.
Okay.
Is my screen still sharing? I don't have the
Yeah.
ability to turn it off.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay.
I think you run your cursor up against the top of the screen and then the button shows up to turn it off.
Oh, there it is.
There, now it's
Multiple,
on.
multiple monitors, and hop was on the other side. Wasn't looking there. So that was pretty nice. I can only really get about 20 or 30 feet away, and then the signal starts to die out, and then the lawn tractor will stop. So not very good for long distances, but super easy to just start it up and drive it around and get where you need to go.
So you guys are familiar with radio frequency signals. Can I ask a question? So this is the GPS board that I've used, and I put a 3DR radio on it for input and output of correction data, input on the rover, output on the base. This is the antenna that comes with the 3DR radio. I purchased, it's about a 10 centimeter extension that goes from here to here, and they say reverse polarity, which just means it's got different connections, but whenever I hook the extension up, I lose pairing between the two radios. So my question is, do you think it's resistance in the wire that is diminishing the signal strength enough so that I lose my pairing in the 3DR radio? And what would you do about that?
I would say, no, that's not your problem. Possibly you just don't have a valid connection, just make sure when you got the reverse polarity connector or whatever, make sure you've got the right pins on the right end. So technically, if there's no connection, yes, it would be a resistance problem, but it could just be the cables you have aren't
Make
the
it a
right
good
type.
connection. So you think it's a physical thing?
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Okay, I'll check that.
Do you have more than one cable or just the one?
No, I have multiple.
Just try a different cable and see if it maybe just something wrong with the cable itself.
You know me, I buy two more than I need.
But that would be my guess.
I'll give that a go.
And it
It
could be
should
that
work.
one end is the reverse polarity, the other end is not, or something funny like that. So it could be by the time it gets to the antenna, there's two females that don't make contact.
I found a 15 dBi antenna, Al.
One more time. Now
I
that's
found
an antenna.
a 15 dBi antenna for you.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, on the antenna side, that's.
Yep.
So I'll have to
Female.
check the. Yeah, I guess you would consider that female. My issue is I wanted on the base station to put the antenna outside of the enclosure, thinking that would help give me more distance, but it's working while it's inside a plastic tub, which is certainly good enough for testing. But I'll double check the physical connection. That's a good tip, Jeff.
Yeah, just simply look at the connector. You held that connector up and look at the cable to make sure one's got the pin sticking out, one's got the pin sticking in. Just verify both ends. It could be the cable is something funny where one end is reverse polarity and the other one's not. Maybe you ended up with a cable that's not what you think it is.
What's the range on something like that? And curious if Matt, if you got 15, do you know what your range is?
It's a radio. I'm sure the manufacturer will say 40 miles.
Now, I'll be happy if I get 500 feet.
Yep.
And if people get real desperate, I have some flat panel antennas that probably would give you a lot more range, but they're going to be somewhat directional. So I don't know, like that kind of antenna is going to be omnidirectional. So you point it up and, wherever you are, you should get a good signal. But these flat panel ones, I think probably have, a preferred direction to them. But it's something I pulled out of the trash that was for something else but I think they say 900 or 915 megahertz or something. I think they should be compatible with those 3DR radios.
I found an article where you can, on the Raspberry Pi, you can unhook the Wi-Fi that's on that board and then solder in one of those little small surface mount clips, and then you can add an external antenna. I haven't done that. It was a little risky trying to desolder on the Raspberry Pi board, but that's one project to test. It's looking good, Al. I like all the little connectors that you have from your 3D printer. You can stack those and get those right, both those on there, compact.
Yeah, it doesn't work, but it looks cool.
Look to me like they're working great.
Yeah, I'm teasing. I was getting the radios were pairing and staying paired, so that was cool, even though I had one inside a box. Now, when I put the other one on the rover and it's there by the motor and other metal, hopefully it'll still stay paired. So that's my next step, is to get the steering rod connected and put the electronics back in my Harbor Freight Pelican case. And then it's back in the yard.
Good progress. Anything else we should be working on or need to be working on? Be good to work on? More gazebo models?
I won't know until I actually try one. So I got my computer loaded up. I need to now try that. See if Gazebo fires up and see if I can load a model into it and see if I can drive it around, and then I'll know more after that. Just another thing I noticed just now that the version of Zoom that I'm running on my Ubuntu 1804, the little icons under participant don't seem to follow when you turn your mute on and off or turn your video on and off. And I don't know what to do about that. I don't know if I can change version, or I see if I close the window and open it again, then they seem to come back the way they're supposed to. But I know Al started talking and showing video, and it said he was muted on video and muted on audio, but I could still hear him and see him. So I closed the window to open it again, and then it seemed to fix itself. So that's just something I noticed. And I see this version work closer to the way it worked on Windows. Let me just try an experiment here. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Can you see my cursor moving around?
Yes.
Okay, under my old version of Zoom, under Ubuntu 14.04, you couldn't see the cursor, but under Windows you could. So that way I'll know in the future. I'll try to remember that it works that way. So just playing around here, I'm finding out things that either work or don't work, and I'll try to continue on with what I've got here. Because eventually I need to reload my other computer, because everything keeps complaining. My Netflix won't work on it anymore. And
My screen's frozen.
what's that? Your screen's frozen? Oh,
What? Yeah. What won't work anymore?
well, on my old computer, the 1404, it keeps complaining. Lots of things keep complaining. My Netflix won't play. It says, "Oh, you have to have a newer browser." And I try to load a newer Firefox browser, and it says, "Oh no, that's based on when you first loaded it. That's the only version you get, or you can load this new stuff." So I loaded the new stuff, It says, oh, in order to get your bookmarks, you have to now create an account on our system and sync everything. Well, I don't want to do that, so that put me off on that. So I thought I'd move to 1804. That was going to fix all my problems, but funny little things keep popping up. So it's going to be another journey, another exploration to see if I get this stuff to work or not. So it's just my life at the moment.
Speaking of the journey, the last thing I'll share is, that's not a stick of dynamite or anything. Those are, for my base station, I wanted portability, and so I needed DC power. And so those are 3 lithium ion 18650 batteries connected. I don't know. I don't remember whether they're series or parallel. I think that would be series. So each is 4.2 volts, get you up to 12.6. And that'll drive my electronics for about 4 hours. So then I need to put, it's 10,000 milliamps. So each of those is like 3,500 milliamps. It's just fascinating to see the progress, density, power density. So anyway, if I put 3 of those in series, for a total of 9 batteries, I think it'd be good for, a good day and a half, which would be enough to pull it out, recharge it, put it back in. So that's been another, talk about things to learn, you could spend a whole nother century figuring out your battery systems, but it's been fun. And you can develop a compulsion around battery stuff just like you can about robotic stuff. So
Another field.
And it's a quick way to add a lot of weight to your rover if you want to start throwing batteries on it.
Yeah, the rover will be just powered by the motor and the energy that it's producing. This is for the base station, so it can sit in the field and send out Wi-Fi and correction data. That's it for me.
Looking good.
Yeah, sometime if you had a schematic or an overview of how your whole system is set up, Al, in terms of your base station and how you send the correction data, and I think Jeff, you probably done something like that too. I've seen some of yours. It'd be good to see. I've got to get through that learning curve someday.
Yeah, I've got a lot of it posted out in the G drive. It's a bit like your grandmother's attic at the moment, but it is all out there.
Oh, cool.
At the top of the hour. Good talking with you guys tonight. Very interesting. Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Al. John, it was good seeing you tonight. Good luck on your robot building.